King Talk. Follow me. They taught lies and changed the image of his greatness. Gave us religion and it was off to the races. You got your idols and you wanna play your favorites. Same color, don't matter, your mind frame's basic. I kick truth and cover all bases. I'm talking facts and you wanna call me racist. I'm in the game with a handful of aces. Explore Job 9:24 and peep the fakeness. The gay vandals change their faces, a damn shame. False image in your picture frame. It's not a game, the ignorance got my spirit inflamed. I'm talking renaissance. You prance around like a debutante. Prideful and ignorant, the spirit my people love to flaunt. It's carte blanche when we set up shop on your block. To teach the word, the cream rises to the top. Got my feet firm in the pavement. Taking out these zombies, witches, and these pale-faced cavemen. And don't provoke to get hung like my hat and my coat. You heard Christ was white, but that was just a hope. Studs and fringes in my fatigue coat. And we hope to eliminate all wickedness, but suckers keep bumping their guns, sounding ridiculous. You wanna know who it is? It's IQAhmath, IQAhmath first name, the rest of y'all the straight lane. Here we go, I gotta let you know, I keep it 100, you keep it COINTELPRO. Whoa, so don't even trip, I got a sword in my hand, I ain't scared to let it rip. I'm here to let you know, I keep it 100, you keep it COINTELPRO. Whoa, so don't even trip, I got a sword in my hand, I ain't scared to let it rip. It's time to get rid of you, trapped in the black mirror. Subject to political theater, you won't hear the sound of the trumpet. Load the clip and dump it. There's no touching the Most High's beloved. These niggas want me to stop teaching, change the subject. My mood fluctuates up and down like your budget. Here's a little nugget, cash it in if you like. In the world of darkness, the only light you got is Christ. I'm trapped in hell, but I meditate calmly. Don't follow crowds, I'm avoid you zombies. Giving my fringes, to hell with Abercrombie. My conscience clear, fear won't allow me to break the mold. Follow the globe, to teach laws and commandments, I ain't breaking the code. Slaves bought and sold, identity never told. It's hard to stay hot in the world so cold. This shit is sad, grown men dressed in drag. Hit him with the law, them niggas be hauling ass. Catfish on the gram wearing a mask. Trying to gather this 1/3 for sure is a tough task. But I stay focused, giving hope to the hopeless. Kwame Yasha Olive, the slogan, so take notice. Plague a locust to those with bogus motives. Bury him 6 feet deep to smell the roses. Here we go, I gotta let you know. I keep it 100, you keep it COINTELPRO. Whoa, so don't even trip. I got a sword in my hand, I ain't scared to let it rip. I'm here to let you know, I keep it 100, you keep it COINTELPRO. Whoa, so don't even trip. I got a sword in my hand, I ain't scared to let it rip.
Boom! All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. While Yahweh Shai, it's your brother IQAhmath. I acquire first name. My Q is all the same. Salute to the families in the house, man. Shabbat shalom to everybody that's in the house. Whether you're live with me right now or you're going to be watching later on down the line. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, man. Shalom to you. Peace, welcome, blessings, all of the above. All of the above. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all already know it's been a wild week. A wild week. India, Pakistan, they was lighting stuff up. And I'm glad, like I said, I used to do DSTN like 2-3 times a week. And the Spirit told me, slow down, do it once a week. Allow a completion of days before you jump out the window. Because, during the week, there was a whole lot of, World War III might be going up. And I even said last week, that was even on the table. That the president of India was like, hey, he gave the military carte blanche to respond in how they felt necessary in regards to a response to Pakistan. So there have been an exchange of fire from drone attacks, missile attacks, so forth and so on throughout the week. The threats of nuclear war was on deck. And, I seen some people on YouTube, and whether they was news reporters or anything like that, and they were saying, hey, we're on the brink. It might go down. Now, I could have jumped out the window and jumped in on some breaking news. Hey. But then all of a sudden they came to a ceasefire overnight. Or did they? Or did they? See, that's why there's a question mark there, because when you run with the news, sometimes you might end up having to backtrack. You might end up having to clean up something. Who knows? But then again, I do know that I can be long-winded when it comes down to these DSTMs, because when I wait 7 days, I got so much stuff and stuff I hold back that sometimes it goes over people's heads. People don't catch everything. You don't watch the whole live. I know Jakes ain't watching the whole live. I see the algorithm. I see the length of time, the average length of time people watch, all that other stuff. If it's 2.5 hours, y'all ain't watching the whole thing. I already know. So do me a favor. Because I'm scrutinizing myself. The scripture say, examine yourself. For the families in the house, send me your feedback. The Covenant 144 at Gmail if need be, or you can just respond in the chat. If the information that I'm putting out there is too much and y'all just can't keep up, or you just listen and whatever catches your ear you like, or whatever the case may be. In other words, if you're okay with the format, me just dumping everything on you and trying to get it, because I notice sometimes people might send me articles, send me videos, send me information or whatever, and I'll be like, I talked about that in DSTM like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, last week. And I know, I'm like, okay, they didn't stay for the whole thing, and they didn't pay attention. Or maybe they just missed it, So I don't want to overwhelm anybody, but that's just how the Spirit moves on me to gather, share. You understand what I'm saying? So that everybody can get something that they're looking for. But I know sometimes it goes over people's heads, and everybody ain't watching the whole thing. Or you might catch in later. You might come in after the first hour, and you never go back and watch the first hour. You start in later, and then you double back. So share some feedback with me, y'all, because I don't want to be casting pearls before swine. Not saying that's the case, but I don't want to do too much. I don't want to do too little. I want to be of service to the nation, be of service to my brothers and sisters, to where it's edifying and helpful. So I'm going to even try to slowly but surely cut down even on the time of the DSTNs, or just maybe I'll go back to spreading them out. Everything isn't always breaking news. So maybe I'll, Lord willing, my schedule allows, maybe I'll go back to breaking them up. But I noticed, like, during the week when I was doing them, the viewership and people wasn't always catching on during the week for whatever reason. People got their own stuff going on. You work, whatever the case may be. You're watching other brothers, and you might catch up later on. But usually on the Sabbath, everybody is in one place at one time, and that's really what it is. So I'd appreciate y'all feedback. I'm just doing some personal analyzing and seeing how can I maximize this DSTM thing to be edifying and helpful for everybody. So I see some of y'all saying you watching, you stay tuned all the time, or for the whole thing, and I appreciate that. But send me that feedback, y'all, so I can kind of make sure that I'm not doing anything in vain. All right. Salute to my brother Jason in the house of Bayan in the house, Shalak in the house, Rosemary in the house. Shalom to you, sis. Karatazan in the house. Shalom to you. Say shalom to moms for me. Koaf in the house. Shalom. Brother Hoshai in the house. Shalom. Zakar, my brother. Shalom to you and the family. All right. All praises, bro. You need a song? Holler at me. I got it for you. Good looking out, brother. You can send me your email and get my number from one of the brothers. The Covenant 144 at gmail.com. Hit up Rata. Rata, he'll give you my number. I can send it to you. All right. I got it for you. I got it hot. Who else we got in the house? Anybody else I missed? House of Byron. Shalom to y'all. Hashemah in the house. Shalom, shalom. And who else we got in the house? The house of the Quab in the house. Shalom. All praises. Everybody's not a teacher. Some don't go as hard as that people who are trying to get edification go. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So it's all good. It's all good. Uh, you got it. You got it, Zakar. All praises, man. All right. So, uh, not to again extend the time too much longer, man. We're getting right to it. You notice I'm doing a whole new format. I don't even want y'all looking at me. I'm just excuse me. I'm just going right in. Going right in. All right. Hold on. Let me. Uh-oh. Let me double back. Let me double back. And let's get right to the business, man. Hold on, let me switch this up. So you see the ceasefire is on deck that they're saying, and you notice I put a question mark because is it really? You see, even Agent Orange, man, he's reopening up Alcatraz. That was supposed to be and has historically been the notorious prison that no one can escape from. It's off of the west coast of San Francisco, an isolated island, a prison island, if you will, that he's reopening. What's that about, right? Uh, all these things are things that we're going to analyze, look at today through the Spirit, and we're going to try to get some answers on what's going on. Alcatraz being reopened, man, he's opening up the door for uh, white refugees. If you ain't white, you can't come. You can't come to America. He's offering to pay $1,000 to so-called migrants to get up out of here, so he can make some more room for white folks. I mean, it's pretty notorious right now, man. That this dude done got back in office, and he's for surely trying to make America white again. So let's get right to it. All right. So we got India and Pakistan agree to a full immediate ceasefire. Let's watch this video. All right. This from ABC News, fair use.
Huge news. You can get a son of for just $3. Wait, I said son of. Look at the words. Son of Baconator is $3. Thank you. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
I mean, look,
we do have that breaking news over.
That, I don't know why that just pricked me. Two little dreadhead Negroes smacking on some damn Baconators, you know. And of course, they $2, $3, whatever, you know, to make sure that we stay defiled, make sure that we're partaking in and eating of the abominations. Always targeting our people, man. Nobody markets better than a Negro and Hispanic. All right. Anyway, let's get to it. All right, let me back this up.
News overseas now. India and Pakistan announcing that they've agreed to an immediate ceasefire after both countries traded missile strikes across their border overnight. President Donald Trump was the first to announce the deal, saying on social media that the agreement is the result of talks mediated by the United States.
So who's taking credit off the rip? We know that all the nations are subject to America, right? Let's get that in the scriptures, right? They all bow down to their masters. Let's look at Revelation 18 first, right? And we'll read 3. Y'all know this, 3 and 4. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. So all the nations are subjected to America in regards to their prosperity, their incomes, their trade deals, their imports and exports, their tourism, all of the above, right? There is no getting by if America doesn't say so. If America does not have their hands in the pot, you can forget about it, right? So when it comes down to peace negotiations, when it comes down to anything global, we know America is the global police. They corral around the nations. America has over 700 plus military bases throughout the earth. Doesn't nothing get by unless this gray whore has something to say about it, right? So continuing on. Now it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plague. So we see that America is in control of everything that goes on in the earth. The kings of the earth are subjects to the main king, right? This is the leader of leaders, America. They're all subjects, right? And they're all going to pay their dues. So America is taking credit for this ceasefire deal, of course, because the pride and the arrogancy of the so-called white man under the name of Donald J. Trump. He's always want to take credit for everything and anything that goes on the earth. And then when things go bad, he doesn't want nothing to do with it. He blames Biden. When things is all looking shaky and everything else, oh no, that was Biden's. That was Biden. It wasn't me. The economy's fault. That was him. Oh, they love pointing the finger. But when anything goes right, oh yeah, I did it. All right, that's why the Most High said, the pride of thy heart have deceived thee, because he's running around here thinking that he's creating all these peace deals. He's doing all of this, right? But let's see what's really going on. So let's let ABC News, the same people he'll say is fake news, but he utilizes these particular outlets to push narratives.
The future of trading is here on Robinhood.
Get one.
We do have that breaking news overseas now. India and Pakistan announcing that they've agreed to an immediate ceasefire after both countries traded missile strikes across their border overnight. President Donald Trump was the first to announce the deal, saying on social media that the agreement is the result of talks mediated by the United States. The ceasefire comes amid rising tensions between the nuclear neighbors ever since the attack on Hindu tourists in Kashmir last month. ABC's Lama Hassan joins me live now from our London bureau with more on this. Lama, thank you so much for being here. What do we know about this ceasefire deal right now? How long is this expected to last?
Hey, Gio. Look, this is really significant news. President Trump posted on Truth Social saying that after a long night of talks mediated by the U.S., India and Pakistan have now agreed to.
No, he doesn't call a press conference. He doesn't, he jumps to social media. Social media is the mouthpiece now. Oh, let me tweet out what I did.
Full and immediate ceasefire. And then shortly after his post, we heard from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. He also posted on social media confirming that over the past 2 days, he and Vice President J.D. Vance had brokered a full and immediate truce agreement. Rubio also said that we commend Prime Ministers Modi and Sharif on their wisdom, prudence, and statesmanship in choosing the path of peace. He also added that they will have talks about a broad set of issues at a neutral site. We've heard from officials from both India and Pakistan. They've also confirmed the truce, saying that they are adhering to the ceasefire. But in a news conference, India's military officials did say that India's army, navy, and armed forces will be sticking to the agreement, but they will remain vigilant. Now, we understand that India and Pakistan will be talking on May 12th. And as you said, this was something that started after an attack by what India says are Pakistani militants against Indian tourists last month. And that attack killed at least 26 people. But at the moment, Gio, it does look like there has been a breakthrough between the two nations.
Okay, let's hope.
Oh, so there's a breakthrough. Oh, isn't that nice? Okay, well, let's look at the scriptures a little bit and let's see what's happening. Ezekiel 7, right? And we're going to read verse 25, right? It says, destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. Right? Now, we know that in precept and that with, obviously, 1 Thessalonians 5. We'll read 1 down to 3. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. So most of y'all know. You tuning in to DSM, you already know what time it is. I don't have to tell you. You know what it is. That's why we all convene here on the Shabbat, to get some more understanding on what we all are in agreement with, that we are on the verge and on the lookout for the quote unquote last days to completely manifest themselves. We're looking for Jacob's trouble. We're looking for World War III. We're looking for the oppression of the elect and the persecution of the righteous. We're looking to see when the clouds crack in the second coming of our Savior, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. We're looking for vengeance upon our enemies. We're all looking for these particular things, man. Verse 2. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord cometh as a thief in the night. Verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, and travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So there's a continual travailing upon a woman with child, meaning that she's going to have what? Birth pains, contractions, the Braxton Hicks, all that other stuff, the false alarm, the water breaking. We haven't even hit the water breaking yet. We're just hitting these contractions, right? So just because when we see quote unquote ceasefires, we talked about it before, that's not a peace deal. A ceasefire is pause. Let's regroup and let's figure some things out. Let's get our we may have an opportunity to have cooler heads prevail before we really jump off the edge. Hold on, look at this. This ain't the first time that they've had ceasefires. This ain't the first time that they've had wars. They've been going at it for a while, right? Look at this. Let's just look at this one. Ceasefire violations by Pakistan since 2018. They've had 2,140 violations. So since 2018, they've been having quote unquote ceasefires with India. And thousands of times it's been broken. So let's not run around here and say, oh, this is very encouraging. Oh, this is great news. Look what America did. Look what the white man did when he came in and told the two sand niggas to calm down. Is that really what's going on? Or is this just historically what happens between the two, right? Thousands of times they've had or tried to or attempted to stop these things, but guess what? They shall say peace and safety, and what? Sudden destruction cometh upon them. Why do we say that, IQ? What happened?
We do.
Oh, overnight. Ceasefire violations, series of explosions heard in Srinagar. This is while the so-called peace agreement was understood and everybody was supposed to be on point and following along with orders from White Zaddy. Clearly, Pakistan didn't abide by that. I was watching I forgot the name of the channel, but these Elamites, the Elamite female, it's an East Indian news channel, but they do it all in English. But she was given a report about they've got drones, troops heading to the Pakistani troops heading to the border of India. They got videos with missiles flying over the borders trying to hit India, the Indian military intercepting them. And she was saying, look, the American media is not going to report this because Pakistan is basically the lapdog of America. And they're going to do their will. So it's interesting because America has relations with both nations. However, we know that India has aligned themselves with China and Russia, with the BRICS. So if America had to choose gun to the head, they're going to ride with Pakistan before India. So what does America utilize? America is trying to utilize and capitalize off of the religious heat between India and Pakistan to try to cripple India so that they can be more subjective to America again, as opposed to, China and Russia, what have you, right? So she was saying, like, look, you're not going to hear this on the media. India, we're on our own. Pakistan is the one who initiated and even gave these smokescreen talks about they want peace. Had America come in, agreed to it, India sat back and said, okay. But you notice when it said in that news article, that news channel, it said while India agrees, they're basically going to stay vigilant and keep sleeping with one eye open, that they don't trust what's going on with very good reason, because we just seen it. Okay, Bayan, you know what I'm talking about. That's it right there. WION news channel. Yeah, that's it. So you check them out, man. That's coming straight from the mouth of India's media. They're going to tell you really what's going on, as opposed to waiting for ABC News to report to glorify, Donald Trump and his administration in regards to quote unquote negotiating peace. Now, do the nations abide by and follow after what Esau says? Absolutely. However, the Most High's prophecies and what the Most High says ultimately goes. So if the Most High said that it's a spirit of war right now, we know that according to, we can't go against what the scriptures is telling us. Ecclesiastes 3. Thought that was easy. We can't go against the time and in the season that we're in right now. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. You tell me, in the spirit of the earth right now, in the spirit of America, in the spirit of households, the spirit of even within the Israelite community, you name it, are people breaking down in order to do what? Build up? Time to kill, time to heal. We're seeing more killings going on in the earth. We'll see in a little bit as we continue going on. So the times is being declared. The times is being understood, right? We're going to drop down right to the point, verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate. Leave it to the Christians. They say there's never a time to hate. You leave it to the Southern Poverty Law Center. You leave it to the ADL, Anti-Defamation League. You leave it to all of these bogus agencies that run around infiltrating and creating false narratives about, the Israelite community. They're a hate group, quote unquote. Well, guess what? Although that's not true, but if it was true, we'd be justified according to the scriptures that the Lord does say that there is a time that you can implore hate. As much as even, I played the lesson last weekend, not the previous Thursday, regarding Deuteronomy 23:7 about thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, and breaking that whole understanding down. They'll tell you that you should never, there's no way you say, hey, you can't abhor, that's the law. But we clearly see there are times that you can implore a hate or a disgust or a strong disliking against something. Didn't the Most High say, hate the evil, love the good? Right? The Most High said he hates our feast days in a way, because what we do, we haven't been keeping them in the righteousness of the Lord. We'd rather do folly days. So we're seeing all of these things come to pass right now. A time to love, a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. Now is a time of war. We're seeing that throughout the nation. They're being stirred up. Okay. Let's read Jeremiah 49 one more time. We read this. Actually, you know what? Let's start at 25 first. We read this a couple weeks ago, or last week, I believe it was. Brought it up in the spirit. Jeremiah 25, we're going to read 13 and 14. And I will bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah hath prophesied against all the nations. So the Most High implored Jeremiah as a prophet of the Lord and said, go out and prophesy against these nations. Let them know the judgment that shall befall them. Right? Verse 14. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands. So they are going to be conflicting according to the works of their own hands. The evil surmisings and the evil and the wickedness that these nations drum up, they're going to be subdued and they're going to be judged by their own works. So we're going to see conflicts amongst their own people, right? Conflicts amongst their own people. Talked about it last week. What? In Ukraine and Russia, they're the same people. North Korea, South Korea, same people. America, Russia, the heads of and the representatives that represent these two particular nations, same people. China, Taiwan, same people. So they're going to be recompensed according to their deeds. So not only because of the unrighteousness and the wickedness and the defiance that they have when it comes down to acknowledging and serving the children of Israel, let alone acknowledging the righteousness of the Bible, they go about and establish their own laws, penal codes, and unrighteous decrees and laws, as opposed to the righteous laws of the Most High. In particular, we know America does that. America swears in judges, presidential candidates, according to the quote unquote Bible. They have in God we trust on the money, and what God is the question? It surely isn't the God of Israel. It surely isn't the God of the Bible, because what do they do as soon as they inaugurate a president? We just seen them do a whole ritualistic smokescreen anointing the new Papa for the Catholic Church, and the arising of another demon as they, let the sulfur smoke come out of their 16th chapel earlier this week. We're going to get into him too. But the Lord said he's going to judge them according to their deeds and the works of their own hands, right? Now, dropping down to verse 24, it says, these are the nations that he pronounced against, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the deserts, and the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes. So who are we concentrating on? The kings of Elam, and then it also says the mingled people. Why could, Pakistan, India, sometimes they could be considered within the mingled people, or, one conglomerate of the kings of Elam? Let's look at this real quick. Now, here's the question. Are India and Pakistani people the same ethnicity, right? So we got a difference between nationality and ethnicity, especially as Israelites, men, brothers, we go out, we teach, and there's always a question. What's your nationality? What's your nationality? We have to be more refined with that question, because a nationality, 9 times out of 10, most people identify that with the nation in which you're born, your land in which you were born, or the country that you represent, not necessarily your bloodline. Your bloodline is your ethnicity. So, brothers, when you ask somebody, when you want to inquire about their background, their bloodline, you're asking about their ethnicity, not their nationality, because you can ask somebody, what's your nationality? They're going to say, I'm American. No, brother, you're an American. I mean, what's your father? Now you're talking about ethnicity. Okay, so be clear when you're asking somebody that. Now the question is, are they the same ethnicity? Meaning, do they share the same forefathers, foremothers? Are they the same quote unquote people? Right. The short answer is not entirely, but relationship is complex and deeply intertwined. While the terms Indian and Pakistani refer to nationalities, why? Because their citizenships of India and Pakistan. Remember, they were calling Paul a Roman. Why? Because he was a citizen of Rome. But clearly in Romans 11, he says that he's of the tribe of Benjamin. His ethnicity is an Israelite of the tribe of Benjamin, but he was a Roman citizen. Okay, that was his nationality. So, citizenship of India and Pakistan, respectively, they do not neatly define as a single shared ethnicity. Both India and Pakistan are multi-ethnic nations. So that's why sometimes they can be, by and large, they're mostly all Elam. However, there is a mingling that goes on amongst them and other tribes of the East. Okay. Populated by diverse groups with varying origins, languages, cultural practices, this shared history and geographic proximity often leads to the misconception of a monolithic identity. So look at it. Exploring the ethnic diversity in India and Pakistan. Here's all the ethnicity. Punjabis, Pashtuns, Sindhis, Sariks, whatever, all of it. So they've got a multiplicity of ethnicities that they identify with. But by and large, in India, East Asia, many of the people that come from this area are Elamites. So even when you're looking at what separated them is mostly a religious divide. You've got the Hindus in India, and then you had the Pakistanis, who are majority Muslim, who broke off and separated with the creation of the nation of Pakistan. All right. And if you want any more information on that, you can do your own research on it, right? But that's why they got all different type of identities that they go by. And here you see here, even this website's talking about it, nationality and ethnicity, the differences. And it took me some years before I realized, like, damn, I used to always be like, just like everybody, hey, what's your nationality, brother? What's your nationality? That's the wrong question to ask. Years later, I was like, okay. And I think it was I can't remember what it was. Something made the light bulb click in my head. I think we was teaching in Hollywood some years ago. And you got people from other nations, other countries. You ask them what their nationality is, and they say their country. And then eventually that, once you boil it down to, what's your father? Then you get to ethnicity, right? But I think that's when I was like, okay, Europe, they teach it differently over there. Over here, we just kind of generally think it's your nationality is your ethnicity, which isn't always correct. So you see here, Pakistanis, they're not Arabs. That's why you see here the kings of Arabia and all the mingled people that dwell in the earth, the kings of Elam. So they're different people, right? And they are 9 times out of 10 under the Elam dynasty, but then you still have some mingled within that nation. So the division was largely based on religious affiliation, leading to the creation of Muslim majority Pakistan and Hindu majority in India in 1947. So this is what separated the two people. Very similar to China, Taiwan. They're the same people, just got separated via political dispute. Same with Russia, Ukraine. Same people, separated through religious dispute, right? So judgment has been pronounced on these people, and that's why we're seeing the activities that we're seeing over there right now and things heating up. Jeremiah 49 and verse 35, it says, thus saith Yahweh, the power of the host, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. So the bow is representing the type of weapon that Elam chooses to employ. And we know that the bow is the flying arrows of destruction, which in today's terms would be missiles. This is why we see both nations or, both ethnic groups are nuclear armed and powered. And that's why it was such a hyped up thing, because nobody knew if they were going to be pushing the panic button out. I don't think they would have went immediately nukes just off the rip. But if it went into long-term dispute conflict and it was just kind of like a tug of war, or somebody of influence got destroyed on one side or the other, then maybe they might have pushed the panic button. But we see that there's no coincidence that both of these groups of people, both of these Elamite nations have the power of the bow, which is them nukes, right? That's why everybody was on their edge, because they didn't know where it was going to go. But as we see here, getting back over here, that ceasefire didn't last 24 hours. Now, of course, because of the pride of the so-called white man, he wants all the credit and saying, no, the ceasefire is in place. Meanwhile, over there, India is shooting down missiles. They're going at it. They're looking like, what the hell's going on? Good thing we were sleeping with one eye open. Oh, they're not going to report about this, that we're still under attack. Don't be surprised if it just gets, lit back up again. And this is short-lived, because you just seen the visual earlier. Ceasefires have been broken thousands of times since 2018. So the scriptures always are going to hold true. That when people are saying peace, peace, and sudden destruction happen, that's exactly is what we're seeing. In another attempt of the white man trying to defy the will of the Most High, Trump said in 24 hours he's going to end the war in Ukraine. That didn't happen. Ceasefire they put in place. That was over with. War still jumping off. He had a ceasefire jump off over there in Israel and Gaza before he got inaugurated. They're back at it going crazy. So he cannot stop the will of the Lord. Let's be clear. All right. Ceasefire violation, series of explosions are heard in Srinagar. A series of explosions was heard in Srinagar, Jammu, and Kashmir, even as both India and Pakistan had agreed to a cessation of hostilities. The cessation was agreed to have started at 5 p.m., yet the explosions came way past the mark. Earlier, United States President Donald Trump took credit on behalf of the U.S. for mediating between the two countries. How'd that work out? Obviously, it didn't. They said they're supposed to talk on Monday. Let's see what happens. I don't think India is going to be too open for conversation after they got bombed on or attempted. Bomb attempts were done by Pakistan since they had a ceasefire agreement. So we'll see come Monday. This agreement is still in place. India cuts off the water flow to Pakistan from dam on the river Chenab. So it says India's actions came within hours of Pakistan's testing a service-to-service ballistic missile on Saturday. India cut the water off for Pakistan or one of their major water supplies. Now, that wasn't part of the ceasefire deal. Now, are they going to come to the table and try to add that on as Pakistan? After doing these particular attacks, you just got to think logically. Do you think they got a leg to stand on to jump in there and just say, hey, you know what? I know that we broke the ceasefire agreement hours after we said we was going to not hit you. Then we try to hit you a few more times and continue to do so, even though we're moving troops towards your border, even though there's been drone sightings at your border. Can you turn the water back on? Can we, work this out? You think India is going to do that within, 48 hours of all this going down come Monday? I don't think so. So this agreement is still in place. The water agreement is going to hamper what goes on in Pakistan moving forward. So this is a high leverage move that India has that is going to jeopardize this quote unquote ceasefire deal. So I don't think this is going to happen. I think, that this war is going to continue, and we'll see if it escalates any more than it is. As of right now, they look like they was trading jabs during the week. They got to this quote unquote ceasefire deal. Pakistan has broken it already. Now we'll see what happens, right? But this water deal, that wasn't part of it. So this is going to be one thing that keeps things jumping off and keeps things moving. The elder put in Proverbs 17:17. Let me give it up for it. Good precept. Proverbs 17:17. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So you see what happens. This cuts both ways, because you got a friend that's going to always be there for you. That's a true friend. You see sometimes when things get heated, things get a little sticky, whatever the case may be. Some people leave you, depart from you. You find out who your true friends are when things really go down. Even with that's in Sirach 2. I think it's in chapter 6. 6. Yeah. Let's look at this too. Sirach 6, and we read 7 down. It says, if thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. This is a very important principle, especially now. The Lord said that you have to vet and prove your friends, or those who you allow within your circle. Everybody ain't your friend. Everybody ain't your buddy. Everybody ain't got your the best intentions for you, your family, whatever the case may be, your congregations, all of that stuff. You have to vet people before you are hey, brother, I know friend. Hey, shalom, bro. No, that doesn't always mean that everything is all good, right? In marriages, this is why courting is important. I don't want to get off on a tangent. I want to try to stay laser focused. But as a precept, as an understanding of this precept, even in marriages, you have to have a courting period that includes counseling before you decide that this is a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. That's what a marriage is. When you engage in a consummation, i.e., laying with that individual, you are now creating a bond of life. You're exchanging, I don't want to get too detailed, but you're exchanging not only bodily functions and fluids together, but your spirits now are also going to be conjoined, becoming one flesh. When you initiate that action, you are now connected and joined in one body moment. That's what joins you together. You know, like you have a conjoined, you ever seen the people that are conjoined twins? Somebody come out and they got two heads, you know, arm. How else can you do that unless you are coming together with a male and female that are connected somehow physically, and then in the spirit they also are. Before you decide that that's what you want to do, you have to prove each other. You have to be able to establish a courting and an understanding. And the same should go with your friendships and anything like that. You know, you see it all the time. You start a new job, somebody you met, especially amongst women. You know, your sister meet a sister for on the job. Y'all become quote unquote friends after 2 weeks, and you know y'all going out for happy hour and hanging out. Next thing you know, she done laid with your husband, and you like, I thought that was my friend. You didn't know that girl. Y'all just started working together for after a month, and all of a sudden she's your best friend. It's just like kids, you know. Kids in elementary school, you meet a new friend, and next thing you know, hey, Tyrone is my best friend. And y'all only been going to school for 2 months. No, can't have them same mentalities. So if you're gonna get a friend, prove them first. Don't be hasty to credit, right? For some man is a friend for his own occasion and will not abide in the day of trouble. So, you know, there are times when trouble arises, whatever it may be. It could be a household matter, it could be an employment matter, it could be a financial matter, it could be a lawful matter. Who knows? And you realize to see who's there in your life for what, right? Elder Rashav always says that character isn't, help me out with that. I always get that one twisted. Character isn't, you know what I'm talking about. In adversity is revealed. Help me out with that. And I'm gonna post it after you type it out. But this is self-explanatory. You know, some people in your life just for occasion of opportunity, just because they want to be affiliated with you, just because you might have something that they want or desire. And then you have some who are real sincere that are there to help build you up, and you vice versa help build them up. But when trouble hits, they hitting the skids, they running out on it. There's a friend who's being turned into enmity, and strife will discover thy reproach. So here we see, even amongst these two particular nations, they're by and large the same ethnicity, you know, different nationalities, but it says that you could equate that with this particular scenario. There's a friend who being turned to it, enmity, meaning turned to an enemy, and strife will discover that reproach. So now they're out here trying to expose each other. They're trying to garner favor with the world. Most of them are just, you know, they're just considered trying to have this religious struggle going amongst each other. Terrorist shootings, you know. And this is what goes on. Look, verse 10, and again, some friend is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of thy affliction. But in thy prosperity, he will be as thyself and will be bold over thy servants. And if thou be brought low, he will be against thee and will hide himself in thy face. This is a cold chapter, man. I'm telling you. Y'all got to really read this and analyze your lives and even move forward, taking these things into account when you're living not only in the truth, but just in life in general. Verse 13, separate thyself from thy enemies and take heed of thy friends. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such an one have found a treasure. The Lord said, look, you don't need an entourage. You know, you see the rappers and everybody, they run around with 30, 40 deep, you know, the gangs, they out here boasting about how many blocks they control and how deep their gang is and all that. Look, the Lord said, if you got one faithful friend, that's a strong enough defense. You don't need to have 80 million people riding with you, whatever the case may be, right? You found a treasure, you got one solid one, you know, and sometimes that gets lost. But back to Proverbs 17:17, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So this is what happens is, you know, sometimes this can cut both ways. A friend, we just seen the definition of that, right? And a brother is born for adversity. Now, a brother is going to be one who is there for you when times are rough, when adversity is there. But you also have a brother that could be turned into an adversary, right? So, you know, just like Cain, Abel, and various other examples that we have, Judas's and this, that, and the third, where adversity can come from your own. It can come from your own. Yahweh even told us, a man's enemy shall be those of his own household. But most definitely, a brother can be born in the days of adversity as well, right? Now let's get back over here. So water's cut off. Now it says here, India's cut off the water flow to Pakistan from the Baglahar Dam on the Chenab River, and also is preparing to taper down runoffs from the Kishan. What? I'm not even going there. Project on the Jhelum, following through its decisions not to allow, quote, a single drop from going to the neighboring country from the Indus rivers. So they're trying to cut off the water supply and create a drought. We know that water is life. Now, if they were to cut that off and India runs out of supplies for water, it's going to be, Pakistan runs out of supplies of water, it's going to be a problem, right? After weekly discussions and hydrological testing, India began desilting operations in the Baglahar Dam and lowered sluice gates, reducing downstream flow to Pakistan by up to 90%. So 90% of their water is being cut off. They've been giving them, drops of water, and that's not part of this deal. All right, so that also is going to maintain these tensions outside of this quote unquote ceasefire deal that was negotiated by the white man. Brace for impact. Israel vows revenge after Iran's Houthi rebels hit Ben Gurion Airport with ballistic missile in a chilling escalation. So Trump also has said that he's had a ceasefire deal with the Houthis, but it's not with Israel. It's not with Gaza. He supposedly has a ceasefire deal with them attacking the ships in the Red Sea of America. So he negotiated their own thing. Israel was not happy with it. Israel is like, what are you doing trying to create ceasefires with them, trying to get them to calm down? I didn't include that here, but, just for visual sake, let me get that up real quick. Okay, see here, Trump announces U.S. Houthis to stop bombing each other. This is not a ceasefire deal with Israel. This is only, see this, Trump announces deal to stop bombing Houthis and, come on, get out of here. I don't want no ads, but y'all see here. Trump says the U.S. will stop bombing the Yemen's Houthis. Because of this matter, right? Israel was upset with that. Netanyahu and all them, they was hot. They was like, wait a minute. We need you to keep active. We need you to make sure that you're going to employ, that you're going to keep employing this discipline on these people. And clearly that ain't been happening, right? So you see there, good. What character isn't made in a crisis is revealed. Yes, that one. As much as I love that quote, I can never get it right. But I'm gonna try to log that into the memory banks. But that's if that ain't a true statement, I don't know what is. Right. So there we see what's going on with that. Right. So ceasefire deal is only with America and the Yemeni Houthis, and that's just regarding the shippings, the imports and exports, dealing with America's business. Because what's going on right now, obviously the trade deals is going bad, the tariffs, the issues with supply chains, all of that. So Trump is like, oh, stocks, everything's bad over here. I gotta, start putting band-aids on the stuff that I done created. So what first thing he do? He backs down and says, well, hey, Houthis, I'll stop bombing you if you leave our ships alone. I got to get some money flowing back over here. And of course, the Houthis is like, cool, because we really want to concentrate on Israel and Gaza and Iran anyway. You was part of the equation. We had to kind of hold you back, because remember, America done sent like 3 warships over there. So now they kind of calming that down so that they can concentrate on Israel. Now Israel is mad. So here we see Houthi rebels have unleashed a terrifying ballistic missile on Israel's busiest airport. Israel is in a mess over there, man. I showed y'all the video and talked about it last week. On fire, the place is on fire, right? Judgment is happening, or they had sandstorms going on. The place is on fire. Sandstorms jumping off. Our homeland is definitely getting purged. And them heathen over there, man, the trodden down of the Gentiles, Lord willing, it'll be fulfilled, according to the book of Luke 21, sooner than later, because we see that the Most High is inflicting much pain and judgment on our land as them heathen are occupying it, right? And I'm sure y'all have seen the videos, or if not, like I said, I briefly again talked about it last week regarding the fires that are encompassing the land over there, right? So they got their hands full, not only with trying to maintain the fires, the massive sandstorms. I know everybody's seen about the fires. I don't know if everybody's seen the sandstorms. Yeah, you can see over here. I mean, just look at that. This is all sand dust flying all over the place. I mean, that only goes to show you, man, that the Most High is not dealing with them damn heathen over there, man, occupying our land. He's judging the land as he should be, right? So they got the sandstorms, they got the fires, they got the bombing of the airports. They're in the midst of major wars. So we're trying to see, where this could lead to, because we know that the land has to be purged. We know that them people have to be judged. When the wars really jump off, it's gonna be hit with even more bombs. Flames is gonna have to cleanse that place, right? So here we see here, Israel promised to respond to the devastating strike on the Ben Gurion airport as Defense Minister Israel Katz vowed, quote, whoever harms us, we will strike them sevenfold. So we're looking for more wartime activities over there between Iran, Israel, the Houthis, Hezbollah. You know what I'm saying? Like let's continue. This needs to continue on in the pace that it's going. Because what does this mean? We're getting closer to our delivery. Although it's going to be hard, there's going to be times of affliction and times of trouble. According to Jeremiah 30, Jacob's trouble, so forth and so on. It's going to get more It's going to get worse than it gets better, right? But we have to go through the flames and come out more refined, as the scriptures tell us, you know. So buckle up, pray up. But this is what we got to go through. Now, look at this. European leaders visit Kyiv and tell Russia 30-day ceasefire now or face massive sanctions. So the EU is trying to crack down on Russia. They know that it's almost over with between them and Ukraine. We've been documenting and seeing this for a while now. The ceasefire deals aren't paying off. It's not going down. But guess what? They say, we'll hit you with massive sanctions. I mean, they've been under massive sanctions under America and other EU countries since the war began 3 years ago. And ain't nothing changed. So now that they think that having more massive sanctions, that's going to stop Russia? No. The leaders of Germany, France, and the UK and Poland have told Russian leader Vladimir Putin to agree to a 30-day ceasefire starting on Monday or face possible massive sanctions. So we'll see come Monday if this is if the EU, Germany, France, and the UK and Poland, let's see if they have big enough voices to force Putin into a ceasefire deal come Monday. We're going to see. I don't think so. I don't see Putin bowing down and submitting to 4 nations that he could wipe out with the push of a button. 4 nations that have to click up in order to come to him. 4 nations who have an agreement under NATO with give or take 28 other nations as a conglomerate to fight against one nation. I mean, I don't see him bowing down to them on Monday saying, oh, you're going to hit me with massive sanctions. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't do it. I'll do what you guys asked. That hasn't worked over the last 3 years. It didn't work when America stepped in and said, stop. Then we just seen a couple of weeks ago when America said, if they don't come to a ceasefire agreement within days, we're going to wash our hands of it and walk away. Well, that's exactly what's been going on. And this is why the EU leaders popped up and said, oh, well, I guess it's on us. We're going to have to stop this thing. Obviously, that ain't going to work. I doubt it. Right. So, again, when they shall seek peace, sudden destruction and all that's going to happen. But when you start hearing all this peace talk, ceasefire talk, just know that the spirit is not dictated that that's the time that we're in right now. So I don't foresee that happening. Let's continue. Xi in Moscow, China's role in Russia's economic survival. Oops, they already plotted for this, dummies. China and Russia have already been meeting this week, and they've already strengthened their ties. They already said that we're going to depend on each other financially. This is the whole reason why they had the BRICS economic conglomerate come together so that they can already be independent and sovereign from the dollar and anything that it's associated with. So these sanctions will mean nothing when it's all said and done under their financial agreements. So Xi in Moscow, China's role in Russia's economic survival. China made a deal to buy Russian oil and gas after Europe cut supplies during the Ukraine war. As China takes a major hit from Trump's tariffs, Beijing's ties with the Kremlin increasingly intertwined. That's very important because although, Trump jumped out and said, we got a very big announcement. UK, we've got a trade agreement. This is huge. No, it's not. Just think about how many things do we get from, not we, let me be clear. I don't want to associate myself with Babylon like that. How many things does America receive imported wise from the UK that we know? I mean, just think about how many things have you bought that says made in the UK? Have you seen too many things like that? Put a 7 in the chat if you bought some stuff or you look around at home and you got some things that say made in the UK. Let me know. Throw a 7 in the chat if you think that's where it's at. You're getting a lot of stuff from the UK. They said that this is going to affect auto parts and some more madness. The markets didn't react to it as if it was big news. He's trying to troll. He's trying to make it sound like he's just accomplishing these great feats unprecedented feat. But meanwhile, there was a splash in the pan, man, that meant nothing. Oh, many more nations are going to follow. I can't tell. The big player is China. That's what's impacting these tariffs. That's why this 35% reduction in the imports is coming over here at the ports in LA. This is why Walmart and Target and Home Depot and Costco and all these other places are announcing that the tariffs is hurting their business. Prices are going to go up. Empty shelves are going to be hidden. It ain't because deals that were made in the UK. Let's look at China. Let's look at Mexico. Let's look at Canada. When those deals get done, okay, then you can say you've made some big strides. Other than that, get out of here. That's bogus. I don't see nobody in the chat saying that they've got anything made from the UK. So miss us with the bullish. Right? Meanwhile, we just got through seeing what's China's response to these particular tariffs. They said, look, we can survive just off of our dealings with Russia and our influence with the rest of the world. So that lets us know that these tariffs and these negotiated deals for the tariff deals, China's in no rush, which means in the long run, this thing could get worse and worse. Not could, is going to get worse and worse as time goes on. All the economists, everybody's saying, hey, this could get bad. This could get ugly. Oh, it actually could get, it is bad. It is ugly. Just give it a few more weeks. They just offload it and get rid of the things that hit before the sanctions. The sanctions have now, I believe, started kicking in. So within the next couple of more weeks is when we're going to start seeing the impact of those headlines about empty shelves, prices going up, all that other stuff. We haven't really seen the impact yet. We're seeing a little bit here and there, but it's really going to hit in the next couple of weeks, according to what, so-called experts are saying. And now that China's saying, well, guess what? Sanctions, what? Who? Anyway, tariffs. Okay. Russia, what's happening? We're locked in. We're rolling. Look at this. Chinese President Xi Jinping is in Moscow this week for Russia's Victory Day parade, where his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin unleashes a display of military might to help cement ties with Beijing. The parade, a celebration of the 80th anniversary of the Soviet triumph over Nazi Germany in World War II, aimed to showcase Russia's resilience and ambition on the global stage. At the Kremlin, Xi declared that China stands shoulder to shoulder with Moscow against hegemonic bullying. That's a shot to America. You're not going to bully us into submitting to your wants and needs. You notice Trump, he's been riding around here. We've seen in Revelation 14 where it says he's going to make all the nations drink of the wine. He's making everybody. He came in, signing executive order after executive order. He's probably got carpal tunnel by now with all of the damn flexion on that wrist he's been doing, writing executive order after executive order and signing this, signing that, right? The nations buckling and crumbling when they just had to eat them tariffs. He hit 150 some odd nations with tariffs. Most of them been quiet. But the big boys who, he's had them issues with, he didn't have to backtrack. Remember, he had to hit Canada and Mexico with an increased 25% tariff on both of them, and then back down when they said, well, we ain't backing down. Mexico fought back. Canada was like, well, shoot, okay, well, we'll cut off the energy to the states that we supply over there, and we got some more stuff going on. Mexico was like, well, we fighting back too, and he was like, well, we can extend the tariffs for 30 more days or 90 days, whatever he did, 60 days, and we'll come back and talk about it. Let's calm down. All of that flexion he was doing, he got to back down. Same with China. He hit them up, 154% tariff, so forth and so on. Then you seen the video last week when he said, oh, we're not going to do that. We're not going. We're going to be very nice. We're going to work it out. You see that now the nations are upset. The nations are angry. The nations are rising up against America. But he's trying to bully. And China and Russia said, well, we'll stand shoulder to shoulder against this bully. a pointing jab at U.S. President Trump's tariffs onslaught and crippling sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. Quote, the mutual trust between China and Russia grows ever deeper with pragmatic cooperation, forging an unbreakable bond, Xi said. President Xi says that there is an unbreakable bond between China and Russia. So anything and all methods that America is trying to do to cripple China, they're going to lean on each other, even from economic standpoints, even up to war. America is finished. Moving on. And this is even more indicative of it. Here we go. Here we go. The White Sox proudly congratulate the South Side's very own Pope Leo. Pope Leo the 14th.
Pope Leo is being celebrated globally. Hundreds attended a special mass at Paris.
Now, if you haven't watched this, you ain't heard about it, pay attention to what she just said. He's being celebrated globally.
Paris' newly reopened Notre Dame Cathedral on Friday, and people in northern Peru shared their excitement. Leo came to South America as a missionary in 1985 and became a Peruvian citizen in 2015 when he was elevated to bishop. But the enthusiasm over his election is unprecedented here in the United States. As
Did you hear that? The enthusiasm of him being Pope in the United is unprecedented. When you hear that word, you know that we're talking about a historical mark. We're talking about something that we got to take note of. This has never been done before. Is this significant prophetically? Like, what's going on? Who is this demon?
he is now, as we said, the first American to lead the Catholic Church. Timothy McNichols is here with the coast-to-coast reaction to this historic moment. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Dana and Michelle. Ever since we learned the new pope was born and raised in the United States, it seems like everyone everywhere is claiming connections to him.
Oh, everybody wants a piece of him. Everybody's saying he's mine. He's with me. Really?
Whether it's his hometown, where he went to college, his ancestral home, even his favorite baseball team, and his ties to so many communities might actually be a reason why he was chosen.
It was a mass at Chicago's Holy Name.
Look at this guy over here. You look like something straight out of a damn Frankenstein lab movie. You know what I mean? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Cathedral, unlike any other. Prayers were offered to a pope who is a son of the Windy City.
The new pope is from Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
So big that they...
Al-Dad, you claiming him? You claiming Papa? He's from Chi-Town, man. We're gonna blame you and your peoples for this, man. Hold on. Let me switch up the visual a little bit. I'm going full blast on this guy.
Pope Leo is being celebrated citizen.
Dana and Michelle, ever in his top.
Yeah. So big that they put it right on the front page of the Chicago Sun-Times. That pope.
Robert Francis Prevost was born and raised in Dalton, Illinois, a suburb just south of Chicago, the youngest of three boys.
People could see something in him, even back then, that there was something special.
His older brother Louis tells CBS News, as a boy, the 267th Pope had a calling.
Rob used to like to play priest. So we'd say, let's go play cops and robbers. And he'd be like, I want to play priest first.
He wants to play priest. Oh, what did that mean? What does that mean? Play priest. Okay, we'll see.
A sports fan, Prevost was caught on camera during the 2005 World Series, supporting his hometown White Sox. Before Friday's game, the team paid tribute to the Pope on the outfield scoreboard. He earned his bachelor's degree at Villanova University outside of Philadelphia. A billboard on a nearby highway celebrates his election, along with students on campus.
I think I've always been proud to be a Villanovan, but now even more so. It's so exciting, and I think...
All right, this is disgusting, man. I've had enough. I've had enough, man. There's nobody that doesn't have his testicles in their mouth right now. There's nobody who's not exalting him as some new high holy figure that's here to save the world, right? Well, let's keep it in perspective, y'all. Let's keep it in perspective. Now, this is very interesting, just looking at things in the spirit, right? Now, Revelation 16, 12, and 13. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river, Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So we know that the Euphrates is dried up. We're seeing multiple levels of activity in the Middle East for warfare, right? We're even talking from the Middle East to East Asia, you name it, Eurasia, all of the countries of the East. And now we're engaging in war from Russia, Ukraine to China, Taiwan to as we see right now with Pakistan, India. We're seeing what's going on between Israel and Iran, you name it. The kings of the East are now being prepared for war. Warfare is already being engaged in. We're hearing rumors of wars, all prophetically based upon the river Euphrates. Now, also verse 13, what's it say? And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon. Why is it coming like frogs? Because that's how frogs devour and eat. They utilize their tongues to capture, seduce, and get people. That mouth also is an annoyance. You know what I'm saying? It's an unclean amphibian. You know, land, sea, air. These frogs are sustainable. Same way that America and its influence and its mouth and its tongue goes out there and sustains, no matter it can cross waters and get to other countries and other people of influence. It can stay on land. It doesn't matter. And it utilizes its mouth and its tongue to seduce and to trap and to deceive people. That's why the spirit of the frogs come out, let alone it's unclean. Now it says the 3 unclean spirits are like frogs that come out of the mouth of the dragon. The dragon represents the so-called white man, according to Revelation 12, right? And the spirit of Satan. It says, and out of the mouth of the beast. So the beast is the system in which America is employed through using. The beast is being brought up as a kingdom, right? Even when you read in Revelation, Daniel 7, I believe 18, it tells you that the 4 beasts that we read about in Daniel are 4 kingdoms. There's a little horn that comes out of that 4th beast, which is America. If you want to know that whole breakdown, go back, check the Daniel chapter 7 breakdown that I did. But we see here that this is what it's talking about. So not only do we see the dragon, which is the spiritual demon, Satan, who is now employed as angels, being the so-called white man, the agents of Satan are now out. To remember this in Revelation 13, it says that the dragon gave the beast his power, which was Rome. Rome received this power under the so-called white man. Got his power from the beast in Revelation 13, I believe, in the 4th verse. So we're hearing that this beast is powered by the dragon, and out of his mouth of this particular beast, there's also a mouth of a false prophet that comes out. Now, I'm not saying that this guy is the quote unquote the false prophet that is going to, according to Revelation 19, is going to go into the lake of fire, and he's the one that we're looking for. No, that's what the Christian evangelists and all them say. Oh, the beast is the Catholic Church, and the mouth of the prophet. Well, that was Pope John Paul. They've been saying that for years on end. No, actually, it's Pope Francis. Well, now you got a new pope. Who is he? No. See, what we got to understand is that the prophet is just a figure of doctrine, so to speak, right? Let me give you an example. We'll leave that open. So it's not necessarily just an individual that we're looking for. We're looking for someone or something that represents the mouth of the beast, that represents a spirit that comes from the beast system, the spirit that comes from the dragon. See, these are spirits, plural. So don't look for one individual. You can't follow that Christian folly where they run around talking about it. There's one false prophet that's coming out. He's going to be the head of the Catholic Church. They've been saying that for years on end. They just keep switching up whoever the priest is, right? But what it is it's spirits that come from these particular mouths and outlets that are used to deceive and to trap and to poison and to create abominable doctrines amongst people that will follow. And just like we just got to seeing, here these people are talking about, oh, I feel great. I'm always proud to go to Villanova, but now, you know, I'm even more proud that the Pope went here. Oh, he goes to baseball games, so he's the guy. Peru wants to claim him because he had a citizenship down there when he was down there, evangelizing and hijacking, teaching our people false doctrine. But what does he represent? He represents the mouth of America. Now that this unprecedented voice can be heard coming from the beast system. So this ties it all together, right? So look at this. Acts 13:6. It says, and when they had gone through the isles unto Paphos, they found a certain sorcerer, a false prophet, a Jew, whose name was Bar Jesus. So what does this false prophet do? He involves himself in sorcery, witchcraft. So anybody could be a false prophet. There's many false prophets that are going to come out of utilizing this particular doctrine: sorcery, witchcraft, elements of the occult, whatever the case may be. It doesn't have to be just one thing. It's what they represent, right? So we know the Catholic Church is involved in many things when it comes down to elements of idolatry, wickedness, so forth and so on. This is just showing you that all of this is going to tie back to America. Forget just him. His ties to America leads us to understand and know that the beast, the mother of harlots, who the red dragon is giving his power unto, the so-called white man, still does not change, regardless of what anybody's saying. Who the ultimate identifier is the red nation. All of that ties together, right? You see, he's a so-called white man. He's in America. Unprecedentedly, he's now becoming or is going to be a mouthpiece, even though he's not even in America. I think he's still over in Spain or somewhere. Like in Rome. He hasn't been to America, I think, in years, I believe. But nonetheless, now that it's all tying into, which is going to lead more to the judgment of America, if you follow, right? We need all roads leading to America. That's the point. Where was I at? Wisdom of Solomon. And this is what he represents, right? Which is what America represents. Wisdom of Solomon 14:12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. Key point here is what? The devising of idols, beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, corruption of life. Well, what does America is deeply involved in? Elements of idol worship, spiritual fornication, so forth and so on. Who employs idolatry, right? Who's got the God complex? Who's imposing their technology over elements of the spiritual elements of God? Who's pushing LGBTQ plus HIV? Who's pushing religion? Who's pushing tech? Who's pushing AI onto people? I mean, it's to the point now where, we have to still be careful with even sourcing information sometimes, because I even see, even within the Israelite community, people are relying on AI for their understanding, as opposed to, because like I said, I'm old school, come from the cloth of doing real Indiana Jones work, going out trying to dig, find, search out things, and gathering resources, as opposed to a few clicks on a keyboard and a search, and the first thing that AI tells you, that's the truth. Remember who programmed AI. Remember who created the elements of understanding that AI can give to you. Now, does AI have advantages, or do we all use Google? Do we all? Absolutely, we definitely use these tools. However, that sometimes I'm seeing and noticing that our people are trusting in the beast system and the answers that it presents, as opposed to doing multi-level research to finding understandings. So that can be a trap as well. Got to be careful. Don't, as soon as you pop in, what's AI say? Hey Siri, tell me that. Like, look, that's coming from the beast system. Like, don't throw your eggs all in one basket, because now you're becoming a proponent of and a believer that the beast and its system of ways is the only way that you're going to find understanding or answers. You know, you got to use this matrix system in order to get what you need and in order to survive, but still use it for multi-level research and understanding as well. Don't just soon let AI, let Siri or Katana or whatever be the first thing to tell you all your answers, and that's solid. You know, you see the commercial now with Gemini, you know, the damn AI is your new friend and telling you everything you want to do, helping you assemble stuff, and you got to be careful. You got to be careful, right? Because it all leads to spiritual fornication. The invention of these things can corrupt your life, you know. So as the old saying goes, you got to chew the meat, spit out the bones. You got to be careful on how much you invest in these things and how much you don't, because it's all a trap when it's all said and done. Like Bayan said, you got to get back to the old way. Yeah, the scripture tells us that. So that's what it is, right? So continuing on to verse 14. Verse 16. Thus, in the process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law. Engraven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings. So yeah, definitely. We know that the Catholic Church has employed the worshiping of idols, from statues of Mary, the Virgin Guadalupe, which is pretty much the same as the Spaniards and conquered that, gave it to the so-called Hispanics, having them calling her Guadalupe instead of Mary. From the vision of Hidalgo said that he saw Mary on his journey or some madness. You seen the article I had last week with the Haitian cabman eating a rosary on the plane. That's another idol, right? The commandments of kings. When those ships docked over here, held by the Catholic priests, as they were sent out under the commandments of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella and the Spanish Inquisitions and the doctrine of discovery that was being done and employed by the Catholic Church. I mean, the Catholic Church had more power than the king in many instances during those times. So the bowing down of the cross, the indigenous tribes over here, man, was put to death if they didn't bow down to the images of Caesar Borgia and to the cross and pledge their allegiances to convert. You understand what I'm saying? So these were all things that was being done. Verse 17, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. Oh, so you couldn't come to the cathedrals and the chapels in Rome or in Spain, Portugal, whatnot, right? So because you quote unquote heathens over here in America and on the west coast of Africa, you had to do what? You had to establish idols and pictures and statues and crosses and in your native lands and worship them and bow down to them, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far, the counterfeit of his visage, the fake image from far, and made an express image of a king whom they honored at the end, that they by this their forwardness that they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present. So yeah, even though the papacy, the Pope, he's not even over here, they're out here worshiping him. Ain't no different than when they was parading around images of Caesar Borgia. They was parading around images of Pope Gregory, parading around idols and all sorts of madness, and people crying and touching on statues and bowing down to them. This is all stuff that he represents. And now it's being funneled directly through the influence and the power of America. Imagine that. Let's drop down. Let me read a couple more verses on this. They kept neither their lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. Hold on. Let me drop up. This verse 23 is what I want. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, we know that child sacrifice is going down. the pedophile rings, the child abductions, the child traffickings, the heinous reputation that the Catholic Church has to do with children. We all know what's going on with that, right? Whilst they slew their children in sacrifices or used secret ceremonies or made revelings of strange rites. This is what's been going on. You notice when they were trying to, elect a new priest, they had the smoke ceremony. Black smoke meant that they didn't come to a 2/3 decision. White smoke meant that they found one. So a couple of days ago, the white sulfur smoke of the new demon that got inaugurated flowed throughout the 16th chapel. Man. They were doing what they had a strange rites, secret ceremony. They were underground, highly secretive meeting, doing votes. Lord knows what else they were doing in secret. Because if we know that they're in elements of paganism, idolatry, fornication, pedophilia, unlawful sacrificial rites, man worship, the whole night. They're doing all this in secret in order to elect a new quote unquote pope. Nobody can know what's going on in there. The only thing you're going to know, and as people are waiting with bated breath, watching their TVs and looking at their Catholic news channels and whatever they can, waiting to see, well, one day to pass, what color's the smoke? Oh, it's black. They even came to a decision. That also should let you know in the spirit that there will never be a black pope, a so-called quote unquote black pope. Because black means no. Black means negative. It can only be white. That should also tell you something as well. There's some Negroes over there. I don't even know they Negro, but black. I think they had a pope from Africa or something like that talking about he might be the next nigga. What? Black smoke means no. You are not going to ever see the seat of the papacy, man. They don't like you Negroes, man. I don't even know why are people still sitting back acknowledging and riding with Catholicism, man. Blacks, Hispanics, Native American have no business in the cathedral. Yeah, you're right, Brian. You said they tuned in on TV. You couldn't even work because it'd be damn idolatrous, goofy jakes and sitting out here waiting to see who's going to be their next papa. Right? But it says that here they go, doing these strange rites. That they're up to waiting for smoke to, smoke to clear and who's going to be the next. No, we're not doing all of that, right? Even when you get back, where was I at? Let's look at Revelation. And when we look at here, I don't want to go too heavy into this because you're going to take a lot of precepting. But anyway, Revelation 13:11 says, And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. This is speaking about America, rising up out of the flames of Rome. That's the connection that you have between the two, right? And it says he had the two horns. The two horns are the divide of the leadership when you're dealing with, the Republican, Democrat, that whole thing or whatnot. Now it says, and he spake as a dragon, meaning what? He's going to speak with great deceit. He's going to speak with, as it says in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 9, it says he's going to deceive the whole earth. That's how America operates, through lies, deceptions, through policies of oppression, you name it. They rule through politics. They rule through religion. They ruling through Republican, Democrat, democracy. All of these other things are all representations of this new beast that's came up. Now look at this, verse 12. It says, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. So America rules in the stead of Rome. They're going to rule with the same power that Rome had as an omnipotent power ruling. Same way Rome had. Rome had Eastern Rome, Western Rome. America has, Republican, Democrat, so forth and so on, right? They rule with the same political structure. Again, you want more information about that, go look at the Daniel 7 breakdown. But says he's going to rule with the same power as the beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, which deadly wound was healed. So now everybody's going to resort back to the same ways and the rulership that Rome had. You see everything from the construction, the monolithic structures that they have here in America, patterned after its daddy Rome. The deadly wound was healed in the 14th century after the Renaissance period, the end of the Dark Ages. The so-called white man was risen back into power under Rome, and that's where the deadly wound was healed, right? And that power eventually transferred all the way down to Great Britain to America. Now, verse 13, he doeth great wonders so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So this is where we see dealing with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, and that America now has the sight of all the nations and the fear of all the nations in its grasp. So now this place has a mouthpiece coming from this new quote unquote Pope that's going to rise up, right? So even when you're dealing with, let me get back over here. When we seen in Acts 13 with Bar Jesus, and he was dealing with, the elements of sorcery and was acknowledged as a false prophet. That's what Christ was even telling us. So, just kind of double backing on that, it doesn't have to be one particular person. He represents the whole of all elements of sorcery, witchcraft, idolatry, spiritual fornication, pedophilia, LGBTQ plus, all of the above, right? Matthew 24, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Now you see their great sign. One of their great signs that they were looking for was that damn smoke. And what? He's a false prophet, a false speaker, a false representation of a multiplicity of doctrines that are abominable. Okay. Let's look at Daniel 7. I mentioned it. Let's go there real quick. And verse 11, it says, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. The great words of that horn, we're talking about America. We're talking about it being a predecessor, a descendant out of that last beast of Rome. The great words that he speaks, he speaks blasphemy against the Holy Scriptures, blasphemy against the people of the Lord, blasphemy when it comes down to history and righteousness. He's changed the depiction of the judges. He's vandalized the picture of our Savior. He employs and encourages idolatry, in so much that he's made multi-billions of dollars off of a show called American Idol. Again, he's got the God complex. He's pushing the sodomite agendas, you name it. This is all great words which he speaks against the Most High. Remember, he said, I'm going to be like the Most High. I'm going to set my clouds in the stars of heaven. And he's saying, who's the Most High that I should worship him? The fool is said in his heart. In Psalms 14 said, the fool is said in his heart, there is no God. Like these are the things that he pushes. There was a scientist, man, I forgot the guy's name, Richard something. And he was talking about via technology. He said they're going to become gods. And if you don't like it, then get out the way or we're going to kill you. This is with transhumanism, all of these things is how he's speaking great words, in particular against the Most High. It says, and I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. So his judgment is going to be burning flame, right? So what we're seeing, we're pulling together with this Pope and this inauguration is his ties to the judgment of America, because everything's got to come back over here. And then judgment is going to continually spread out. So we know that the scriptures say the judgment is going to begin at the house of the Lord first, but we know major judgment is going to happen to America as it spreads throughout the world. So now we're going to see America have an even greater influence on the earth because of this guy. And that's what's going to lead to greater judgment on the earth. All right. So Pope Leo the 14th, here you go. Everybody wants to claim him. Everybody wants a piece of him. Everybody's drawing ties to him, Look, I'm gonna get to the end.
We know that finding high-quality foods you can trust can be challenging. That's why Go Macro is making
Pope Leo is being celebrated globally.
Spark interest.
But despite his brother's lofty new role, Louis still sees the new pope as his kid brother.
He's a priest, yes. He's a bishop. He's a cardinal. Now,
See the idol next to him with the fake Caesar Borgia on here.
he's a pope. To me, he's my little brother. If I get to see him again, I'm going to treat him like I treat my little brother.
He said, if I get to see him again. No, he's not. He's been under siege of the Catholic Church. He's a hostage, and he's a servant of Satan. If I get to see my brother again, you ain't seeing your brother again. You probably will see him in the flames with you. But other than that, no.
Until somebody slaps me and says, you can't talk to the Pope like that.
So we are still in the first days of his papacy, but we can already see just a few big cities that will be vying for the Pope's attention when and if he makes a visit to the United States. A Pope has not been to the U.S. in nearly 10 years. And of course, there's never been...
See that? When and if he visits the United States, the Pope hasn't been there in 10 years. He's got to go station back at the Vatican. That's Operation, that's the demon headquarters, right? But we'll see if he makes a trip back to his old hometown in Chi-Town on the south side. But there you go. A new demon has been elected, man. Let's keep an eye on that. Let's hold on. If we're going to keep an eye on it, well, let's look at the real deal. The abuse allegations casting a shadow over Pope Leo XIV. Oh, say it ain't so. The new Papa, has he been turning a blind eye to the abuse scandals that's been going on? Has he been involved in a corrupt? Oh, hold on. Leo, formerly Robert Prevost, is said to have failed to properly investigate claims made against the Catholic priests in Peru and the U.S. Oh, didn't we just see them little kids in Peru? They all want to claim him. Meanwhile, he had failed to investigate Catholic priests getting too touchy with the kids in Peru and in the U.S. Under his watch, he was allowing stuff to go down. And then when it was time to do some investigations, he says, hey, no, everything's fine here. I'll take care of it. Look at it. Leo XIV, the new pope, has been accused of mishandling allegations of sexual child abuse. Oh, well, hey, it's par for the course, man. Does that change anything? I mean, that's how they get down. Leo, formerly known as Robert Prevost, is said to have failed to properly investigate multiple claims made against Catholic priests in Peru, and according to reports in the U.S., gave refuge, to an accused pedo, you know the rest, in a monastery without informing a nearby school in Chicago. So he provided refuge for a pedo. Tell him, come stay over here. I'm going to stash you over here. And guess what? You're going to be next to a candy store. Control your appetite, though. But watch yourself. As leader of Chicago's Augustinian province in 2000, he apparently allowed Father James Ray, an Augustinian priest whose ministry had been suspended 9 years previously over allegations of child abuse, to stay at the St. John Stone Friary in the city. Leo did not tell the nearby Catholic school that Father Ray had been installed there, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. See how that worked? You know, they get permission to get suspended over here, we'll transfer you over here, setting him up over here where his appetite is, out of control. I mean, look, Father James Ray, man, probably had fangs and drool coming out of his mouth and probably thanked Pope Leo for posting him up next to the candy store. Say, hey, thanks. I'm glad you set me up over here, man, where I can have all my urges tempted. And nobody gets arrested, no further investigation, nobody suspended, no fines, no nothing. So you can expect more child sacrifice-like activity jumping off because this guy is okay with the pedo activities stemming out of the Catholic Church. That's your new Pope, America. That's your new Pope. You Negroes and Hispanics, man, that running the mass tomorrow that's going to be crying and whining and, you know, celebrating and thanking, quote unquote, God for your new Papa, bowing down to idols, rubbing on your rosary beads, praying for his safety, praying for him and his new regime. You know, think about that, man. Let's move on. Trump orders reopening of a notorious Alcatraz prison. Oh, imagine this. Everybody's heard of Alcatraz. It's been shut down for decades. Now he's saying he wants to open. He ordered it to be reopened. You know, he said that Americans are next to get down there to El Salvador. If they can't get that riding first, he's going to send Jakes to Alcatraz. You wonder where the potential camps and detainment centers is going to be at for those who commit sedition and those who are, riding against the government, those who oppose his rule. You know, he's got places he's trying to, line up for you. Look at this. In a message posted on Truth Social, his online platform on Sunday night, the U.S. president announced his plan to turn the small island into a symbol of law and order to deter, quote, vicious criminals, whom he called the, quote, dregs of society. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders. Well, who are the ones who are repeat criminal offenders? All you got to do is go look at the population, the ethnic population of the prison system. America's got the largest prison system in the world. In the world, America has the largest prison system in the world, and it's packed, overpopulated with Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, by and large. So that is code for the repeat criminal offenders. Well, who's constantly going in and out of jail? Blacks and Hispanics. Vicious and violent. Remember Hillary Clinton saying that in 1994 with the crime bill, saying that, these what she call them? Something predators. She called Jakes. Damn, I know predators. I forgot the word. Somebody help me out. But what was it? Something predators. She said need to be brought to heel. And that was her. Biden, all of them agreed with it, right? Trump ain't doing nothing but promoting the same thing. Now he wants to reopen Alcatraz, a prison island for the super predators, the water. There you go. Super predators. And now having a nice little stash spot for Jakes. If he can't get you to El Salvador, we'll throw you on his island. Think about John and the island of Patmos. Rome has always had isolated islands for men that committed sedition. You understand what I'm saying? We're falling back into them same things. Remember the scriptures say the things that were done aforetime were for our learning. That's key too. Look at this. Hold on. He says, quote, when we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone that could harm. They could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so we see what's on his agenda. Look, Trump looking at, it's a quote, looking at suspending habeas corpus for migrants, Stephen Miller says. What does that mean? Senior White House advisor Stephen Miller said the Trump administration is actively looking at suspending the writ of habeas corpus, which is the right to challenge a person's detention by the government for migrants. So if you're a quote unquote migrant, they're looking at suspending habeas corpus where you can't even challenge the government about your detention. You're seeing them rolling around in plain clothes and unmarked cars, snatching people up. They doing whatever. They raiding everything from churches to clubs to Home Depot. They scooping up everybody. And then if they wrong, like we've seen multiple cases of them snatching up people wrongfully, American citizens wrongfully, snatching up kids and breaking up mothers away from their homes, wrongfully deporting a kid that had cancer, deporting them, and now they're saying we're looking at just suspending their right to even challenge what we're doing. I mean, we talking about this is real nefarious, wicked works that we're involved in right now, which is all setting the precipice for them laying out laws now, so that when the ish really hits the fan in the coming near future, things is already in place for when martial law gets established. They've already got the detention centers there. You can't fight it. They're going to probably change some laws regarding your national identity. You know, they're already pushing this real ID. Who knows if they, switch laws and say that if you ain't got a real ID, you're not considered a citizen. You're looked at as a migrant. Who knows what this devil can do? But we're seeing he's laying out laws in order to start enacting things. It's going to make it hard to fight against the government when they're doing things, even if it's illegal. They don't give a damn. You're not going to be able to fight it, especially if you're an immigrant or a quote unquote migrant. It says Miller was answering a reporter who asked about President Donald Trump entertaining the idea of suspending the writ the deal with illegal immigration in the United States. The writ has only been suspended 4 times since the U.S. Constitution was adopted, and in all but one case, Congress first authorized that action. Miller spoke hours after a federal judge in Vermont ordered the release of Tufts University student Rumesia Ozturk from the custody of U.S. immigration authorities. She had challenged her detention with the habeas writ. So once one person got out using the habeas corpus, they said, we don't want this to be a precedent for everybody to utilize. Let's see if we can, suspend that. So if anybody challenges, we're trying to lock up everybody. Look at this. Isaiah 10, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to write away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. That's what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing. Right. And we see who is really going to impact. Look, Trump administration says it'll pay immigrants in the U.S. illegally $1,000 to get out. So he's even willing to pay to make America white again. He said, if you're here illegally, don't make me send ICE to scoop you up, man. Come over here and get this $1,000, take it back, double up over in Mexico with the peso, double up in Guatemala, Haiti, go double up, take it back to Sierra Leone, go take it back to China, wherever you're coming from. Pay your $1,000 here if you're illegal, man. Self-deportation, get up out of here. The check is good. This dude is wild. He's trying everything and anything to get rid of Jake. Oh, hold on. Trump shut out refugees, but is making white South Africans an exception. So again, going back to the point, making America white again. They cut off any refugees coming in, escaping war, escaping oppression, whatever the case may be, right? The only ones they're letting in are white folks coming from South Africa. Replace the brown and the so-called black. Get up out of here. And we can't allow them to come in. You coming from Haiti, you coming from, Mexico is involved in drug war. You can't come from any impoverished area. We're not accepting refugees from any of these places, man. But if you are a white person from South Africa, or that you've been discriminated against, you're experiencing racism in South Africa, you can come on over here. We got a place for you. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. But look, months after Trump administration ground U.S. refugee admissions to a halt, the program meant for people fleeing war or political persecution has restarted. But only for one group, white South Africans. I mean, I don't need to break that down no more. We see here, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees. Now it says any refugees that if you're fleeing war or political persecution, Any country, and we know that that's going on in multiple countries, third world countries, all throughout the earth. It's no to everybody except for some white folks coming from South Africa. White is right, huh? But now look, again, getting back to the things being done aforetime before our learning, like Romans 15:4. One thing I notice is Trump likes to pattern himself, or he thinks he's the second coming of Ronald Reagan. But let's see what happened with Ronald Reagan real quick. Remembering Reagan's record on civil rights and the South African freedom struggle. You can look online, you can try to find anywhere when apartheid was going on, did America allow refugees, black refugees from South Africa to come over here? Did they provide an outlet for them to run over here? I couldn't find none. But now that the tables are turned, apartheid's over with, black folks are reclaiming their lands, or the some is Ham, some is Israel. There's definitely some Israelites in South Africa, but not all. But there's a remnant there for sure. The white farmers and all them, they don't like how the tables being turned. Now it's a big time issue. Now he's saying, "Come on over here. I got a door for you. Restarting America. I'm gonna post you up in Virginia," right? Now let's see if I can find something real quick out here, because again, he likes to pattern himself after Reagan, from the economics to his political stance. Look at this. This is talking about talking about Reagan. But in addition to overlooking the dramatic increase in homelessness that occurred under Reagan's watch, are we not seeing that here under slow Biden, under Trump? Homelessness is out of control. Reagan was heavy with homelessness under his watch. Now, as a kid, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. We're seeing here, I remember elements of Reaganomics. I remember elements of the crack era. The streets was wild, especially in California, gangbanging, drug trafficking, murders, the whole nine. It was no different. In New York, you see the abandoned, dilapidated buildings. From New York to Detroit. Detroit still got damn houses that look like they've been bombed and abandoned and boarded up. And, down south, it's the same thing. It's all still the same situation, right? But starting off under Reagan's watch, it says, never mind the covert counter-revolutionary operations in Central America, promoters of Reagan's nostalgia consistently ignore his record on race, civil rights, and South Africa. There, Reagan's legacy is abysmal. Early in his political career, Reagan opposed every major piece of civil rights legislation adopted by Congress. He opposed every legislation for civil rights. What do we see Trump riding in? Get rid of DEI, get rid of affirmative action, get rid of Not saying that I'm okay with the DEI, because it was all tying into the LGBTQ plus, all that madness. But it stood on the shoulders of civil rights and the struggles of blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans. But we see that here. What's he trying to get rid of? He's trying to get rid of the what's the name of that the curriculum in the schools. If you remember, throw it in the chat. He's trying to get rid of that. Basically exposing all the truths of all the unrighteous things and the wicked things that white folks have done in history. They don't want that out. But anyway, if you remember, throw it in the chat. So Reagan was against civil rights, including Civil Rights Acts of 1964, the Voting Rights Acts of 65, and the Fair Housing Act of 68. That's important too, fair housing rights, because we're going to see an article later. Trump is, and I've shown y'all already, he's already cutting the spending to government-assisted living, i.e. Section 8, i.e. any government vouchers for housing, all that. He's cutting all of that, right? Even if one tries to explain his way, the opposition on the grounds that it came early in the history of the civil rights movement or was motivated by a misplaced reluctance to empower the federal government. Reagan's civil rights record during his presidency is tough to justify. We're hearing the same type of echoing sentiments with Trump right now. Hard to justify where his stance on civil rights, because we see that he's taking away from black and brown, and holding it to say that, oh, well, it's because of the LGBT. It's them. But black folks, Hispanics, you're basically gonna catch some stray bullets off of it. Now, continuing on, it says what? Where we at? President Reagan supported tax breaks for schools that discriminated on the basis of race. Tax breaks. Now, what's he doing? He's taking tax money from Harvard, Columbia, all these other universities because of the quote unquote free speech and them allowing them to protest and do everything. He's taking away money. So there's not tax breaks, but he's taking the money away if you don't abide by what he's doing, right? Opposed to the extension of the Voting Rights Act. Opposed to the extension of the Voting Rights Act. Now, if you know, every 25 years, presidents have to re-sign the Voting Act to let blacks and Hispanics and women vote. It's not guaranteed. They can veto it and cut it off, and you ain't got no damn way to vote for your next king. But look at this. Vetoed the Civil Rights Restoration Act and decimated the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Decimated. So that's today's form of quote unquote DEI, or any reason that you would have to have fair hiring practices. It says when you combine Reagan's political record with his symbolic stance on race issues, his deriding welfare recipients as quote welfare queens. That's why we're seeing he's attacking the federal spending that's going on with anybody that's involved with any federal safety net programs. He's coming after that. His employing states' rights, isn't that what he's been talking about? Abortion. I'm gonna leave it to the states. I'm letting the states do what they want to do. That's Trump's stance. Rhetoric in the same county where in 1964, 3 of the most infamous murders of civil rights workers occurred. His initial opposition to establish a national holiday to commemorate Martin Luther King Jr., the Reagan legacy begins to lose much of its luster. The account goes on and on, right? But let me just read right here a little bit. And it says, from 1984 to 86, the anti-apartheid movement erupted across the country. In many cases, mass protests on college campuses were the most visible part of the movement. Don't we kind of see that similar here with the Palestinian protests and all of the college protests that they've been having over the years? It's the same scenario, right? Now it says the reason why this was happening is because there was an anti-apartheid movement for these 2 years. Wasn't because Reagan had a change of heart, or he figured out, hey, you know what, I've been acting the fool with the situation. Maybe I should pay some attention to it. No, that wasn't it. It's because the people was acting the fool. Now look, it says for a time, Reagan was as unmoved by the campus protests as he was by the brutality of the South African government. Unmoved. Reagan ascended to the White House, embracing white South Africa as a valuable Cold War ally. Hello? Reagan ascended to the White House, embracing white South Africa as a valuable Cold War ally, asking CBS News anchor Walter Cronkite, quote, can we abandon a country that has stood by us in every war we fought, a country that's strategically essential to the free world? In Reagan's first term, the White House violated the UN arms embargo in South Africa, vetoed the UN Security Council resolution that would have imposed sanctions on the apartheid regime, and approved $1.1 billion IMF loan to the South Africa. So long story short, what did he do? He vetoed a UN Security Council resolution that have imposed sanctions on the apartheid regime. So he was against them sanctioning South African whites, the minority whites that was ruling over and oppressing the black South Africans over there. He said, no sanctions, let them continue torturing, killing, raping, doing whatever they want over there. And let's give them a $1.1 billion loan to help continue the madness. I'm not going to read the rest of this for time's sake, but you can already see the similarities in which Trump is trying to ride after his white zaddy, his dead demon daddy, Reagan. Here he is making concessions for the descendants of these white South Africans who were part of the apartheid regime is saying, hey, come on over here, but anybody else, you can't come. And yeah, you're right, Ashar, when you're dealing with that's Elon's people, that's his descendants. Like I said, I think Trump got a couple of billionaire buddies from South Africa that he deals with. But absolutely. But let's continue on. We're seeing violence increasing, right? Glendale shooting leaves at least 9 injured as cops hunt multiple gunmen. They had multiple shootings. Why is this not classified as a quote unquote mass shooting? Oh, I guess because it was Hispanics involved. It's not a mass shooting if some white folks don't die, if some white folks ain't victimized. You know, Glendale, Arizona. How do I know that this wasn't some white folks? Oh, at least 9 people were shot on Sunday night when gunfire tore through an Arizona restaurant where a Cinco de Mayo celebration was being held. You think white folks is in there celebrating Cinco de Mayo? Or you think it was probably some Hispanics was in there? Yeah, you know, and I know. It's not a mass shooting. It's just a shooting where multiple gunmen happened. You know, don't worry about it. 9 people injured, 20 shots raining off. But that just goes to show you, man, how do they feel about imagine that. See, brother said he's 10 minutes from Glendale, Arizona, and he ain't heard nothing about this. That shows you they don't give a damn about it. They do not give a damn about Black and Hispanic lives. This 9 people get shot somewhere, man. It's national news. All hell's breaking loose. Mass shootings, blah, blah, blah. Believe it if it's some Jake, no, not happening at all. Not at all. Okay. Let me continue. All right. Where we at with time? All right, yeah. Let me get the shaking and moving. All right, so that's going on. Look, Midwest cities downtown is now Mad Max style hellhole where locals are scared to go after 8 p.m. So we're seeing just the inner workings of America is getting turned out with violence. The scriptures tell us that that's what's going to be happening in these last days. The violence is erupting, right? Let's look at that real quick. And I think it's in Matthew. Let's say 24. Well, first of all, we're going to see here that it's going to tell you that. Where are we at? I know I passed it up. Slow down. Here we go. Matthew 24:12, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So we're seeing an increase in heinous crimes, murders, rapings, pedophilia, kidnappings, you name it, is going on. America, Revelation 18 says America's going to be overthrown with violence. Now, Kansas City is getting turned. They got mass shootings here, there, everywhere. Crime is being risen up. I mean, they had shootings when the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. People's getting shot. People are losing their damn minds. Pressure bust pipes. We're talking from economics to stress, anxiety. People is wilding out. I forgot who sent it. Somebody sent the video of a sister. I think it was Uziel. Sent a video. A sister was working at Walmart. No, I'm sorry, Amazon. And it's a body cam of a cop dealing with the sister. The sister showed up to work on she wasn't supposed to work. She's claiming she's on the schedule. I really don't understand what you tell me that. But that just shows you how bad we need our jobs, or how bad our people are kind of submitting to embracing their oppression, because this woman was defiant that she was on the schedule and she was not going to leave her job. Like, I'm not leaving the plantation. Boss tells me I'm off. I'm not supposed to work. Boss, I want to work. I'm here. I'm on the schedule. I'm not leaving. And I'm sitting there saying, What? Tell me I'm off that day. Okay, cool. I'm out. See ya. Oh, there's a mistake on the schedule. Oh, I'm not on there. Oh, good thing. I'm off today. I'm out. This woman was like, not that she was so upset. She wasn't yelling, making a, but she was defiant that I'm not leaving. I'm not trespassing. I'm on the schedule. This is crazy. Why are you asking me to leave when I'm on the schedule? I mean, the cop, for all intents and purposes, was patient. He was nice the whole night until they just had to physically remove her up off the premises. But I'm saying, is that how is that where we're at now, where people are begging to stay at work even on their day off, or whatever happened with her damn schedule? But this is where we're at now, where people are really just starting to lose it. And not only, and this is all, this whole thing right here in Kansas City is, they got, and it ain't nothing, because they do that all the time here in California. So I guess maybe because it's in Kansas City, it's something new. But they got street racing, people outside showing their cars, hanging out in the streets, blocking off, shutting down lights. They do that in Compton. Crenshaw was notorious for it. Car shows, people, crime, everything. They had to shut Crenshaw down. Then they moved it to Western. Now I think they doing it in Compton. And Jake find everywhere to go to do their little street show hangouts. So I guess it's moving over there to Kansas City now, or in Missouri, but I believe it's Kansas City. Yeah, downtown Kansas. But it says illegal street racing, reckless ATV and dirt bikers tearing through the neighborhoods. Chaos that escalated last month when a police officer was hit by an ATV. It says now frustrated business owners and locals are weighing whether to abandon downtown altogether, blaming the Democrat-run city's leadership and law enforcement for failing to curb the chaos and restore a sense of safety. Yeah, you're right. Broadway, absolutely. So Jake already know. But now it's spreading over here. When alcohol and drugs is involved, Jake's get acting a damn fool. But now it's spreading into smaller cities, and they don't know how to handle it. But this is just showing you where we're at now. Newark Airport air traffic controller offers damning assessment. It is not safe. Don't fly into Newark. Newark police station. Newark Airport, Newark, New Jersey, is damn. They telling you don't fly over here. I just seen an earlier report saying that the radar systems was down over there. They talking about stay out of here. They're low on air traffic controllers. They don't have sufficient staff to support the flights coming in and out. They're saying don't fly. We might wreck because the radar systems is failing. This place is falling apart. We've had multiple, plane crashes and near collides over the last couple of months. You've got F-16 fighters falling off of damn aircraft carriers. It's ridiculous. But this is showing you the inner workings. As much as Trump is running around here sticking his chest out and flipping his wig back, acting as if he's in total control, everything else is showing otherwise. That the cracks in the armor of America is showing more and more, right? Protests erupt in China after furious workers demand back pay as Trump's tariffs on imports jolt the economy. So China's over there feeling it a bit because at work slowing up. They ain't got the exports going out like they used to. They're trying to protest, but that goes to 2 Ezra 9 and 2 about protest, eruptions or uproars of the people going throughout the world, right? So China, they're feeling it, but guess what? Xi Jinping don't give a damn. China will oppress their people all day long, and they've been doing it. So they don't care about protests. They'll lock you up. They'll torture you. They'll steal your organs. They'll do whatever if you try to oppose the regime. So they'll get their people in check real fast. America ain't got the same thing, but we're seeing more protests are aligning themselves along with the economy, people starving, people hurting, and trying to survive. Rite Aid files for a second bankruptcy in 2 years, sparking fears of mass closures. I know they already closed a few Rite Aids that was local to me. The only thing that's open now is CVS and Walgreens, and even those places are closing. CVS's have closed, Rite Aids have closed. Now, if Rite Aid is filing bankruptcy twice in 7 months, I mean, it's a problem. It's a problem, right? So economically, we see more collapse. Look at it. The White House says it has no timeline for releasing the Epstein files. One thing that we seen Trump was out there promoting was he's going to unlock all these confidential files. JFK, MLK, Epstein. I'm releasing the black book. What happened? The FBI director, Kash Patel, was talking before he got promoted to the FBI director head. He was on interviews talking about they need to release all the files and the black books on Epstein day one, blah, blah, blah. Now he's put in a position where he can do it. He ain't do it. Where are the MLK files? They got buried under the JFK releases. Nobody's even caring about what happened to MLK. Didn't they release some of his files, or what happened with him and his assassination? That got swept in the rug. Everybody forgot about whatever happened with that situation because they were too busy trying to figure out, well, what happened with JFK? Come to find out, they ain't no new revelation. This is the type of this type of stuff that Agent Orange lied to get himself into office. Now he's got a treasure trove of pedophile information on Epstein and all his associates. And they say, we're not going to release this right now. We're carefully combing through all of the evidences. But guess what? His House Speaker, Pam Bondi, she was like, well, the reason why it's not out is because we've got, I think they said 100 terabytes of footage of Epstein with kids and child PRN. 100, 1 terabyte is like damn near endless storage space. Now, they probably got information and video proof of so many powerful figures involved in pedophile activity that they don't know what to do with it. And they saying, well, yeah, we don't have a timeline we're gonna let. They're gonna hope that this just blows over and everybody forgets about it. They're sitting on a treasure trove of guilt, and they like, we can't do it. We can't let this out. You know what this will do to our reputation. You know what this will do to, and then and vice versa. Oh, we got him on tape. We got her blackmail. We're going to use this against them. We're going to get them to bow down. Oh, we got tariff problems with them. Oh, we got war issues with them. Guess what? We got these files. We got this video. We got this. We got you on the black book going to Pedo Island. Hey, do what we say, or else we'll let this out. And you know how our media works. We'll have documentaries and movies on Tubi and Netflix and within 24 hours on you. Bow down and do what we say. So it could be used for multiple different reasons. One thing for sure, two things for certain. They protecting and they hiding these files. Because old girl came out, she said they got 100 terabytes worth of Epstein. Hold on. Pam Bondi, Epstein. I don't know if I'll be able to find like a quick little. It's bogus, man. Look at this. A truckload. Pam Bondi says FBI delivered a truckload of Epstein files after she put out a hard deadline. I ain't gonna play that. I ain't gonna play this too long. I'm trying to see if where is she? She's acting like, oh, we didn't release it because there's just so much stuff. Yeah. And what you're seeing, look at this. It says, I know the task force were given or reviewed the Epstein documents being released today. A New York Post story just revealed that the documents will simply be Epstein's phone book. The Florida Congresswoman wrote on X, this is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment. Get us the information we asked for. Oh, it was just a little white lie. Yeah, we said we are gonna get you the files, but we gotta carefully comb through it. Or actually, we're just gonna give you the black book. We're not gonna give you the videos, the files, the pictures. We're not gonna give you all. I mean, come on, man. This is what the America stands on, man. This is where it's at. Let's continue. So we don't know what's going on with these files, but they damn sure ain't letting them out. But she said they got like 100 terabytes worth of child P and Epstein involved with kids. Just him. But that can't be just him. They said they got Prince Andrew with multiple little girls. I mean, wild stuff going on out there, y'all. Wild stuff. But Esau, man, the deviant that he is, the fornicator that he is, as the scriptures say, he knows no bounds, man. He knows no bounds when it comes to his evils. Let's continue. Oh, there you go. Another Navy jet falls into the sea, marking the fourth mishap in months. America just can't get it right. Can't get it right. Heads up for all of y'all out there buying your canned goods, whether you're doing it for preparatory reasons or just because you like them. There's been 23 states, life-threatening health risk. What canned beans? They're at Walmart. Here we go. An urgent recall has been issued for canned beans sold at Walmart and other grocers over fears they pose life-threatening health risk. The FDA is recalling 4,510 cases of Yellowstone brown sugar molasses baked beans. Yellowstone brown sugar molasses baked beans sold across 23 states because they contain undeclared soy. 1.9 million people in the U.S. are allergic to soy and can suffer from anaphylactics if they eat the substance, a life-threatening allergic reaction that can leave them gasping for breath. So they're talking about life-threatening allergic reactions. They didn't declare that there was soy in the molasses, the baked beans, or whatever. We know the soy is unhealthy for us anyway. The way it's developed now is GMO, so forth and so on. But they're recalling these out of here because they aren't declaring the ingredients. So if you got any Yellowstone brown sugar molasses baked beans, a lot of them baked beans got swine in them anyway. So most of us probably ain't even touching them unless they say they're vegetarian or something like that. But you got to be careful out there, y'all. Here's another one. Missourians could soon pay with gold and silver after lawmakers approve an odd bill. So not only is Missouri, I think Tennessee, there's been, I think Utah, there's a couple other states now who are looking at and have already put in laws where they will accept gold and silver for as legal tender and for them to be able to pay for some goods and services, which only goes to show what the collapse of the dollar and the increase of the reliance upon precious metals. We've talked about it before, but we see both of those words, gold and silver, in the scriptures. So that means that particular form of legal tender hasn't diminished for thousands and thousands of years. We've seen it. Does the Roman denarius, does that still exist? No. America has changed its money from a U.S. Treasury note or I think it used to be a federal. I think it was a U.S. Treasury note. Then they changed it to a Federal Reserve note after the Federal Reserve took over the economy, and they became a debtor nation to a private bank. But they got pounds, euro. I mean, a number of different countries have changed their economies or things are failing. Gold and silver still rocking. But this is only indicative that the dollar is failing and people are looking at other opportunities to receive solid investment money that they know is going to last when everything else may fail. So this is good for those who hold, bad for anybody who's trusting in the dollar. Couple more and we're going to close out. Money worries crushing mental health. 7 in 10 Americans report peak financial stress. 70% of people now are saying it's high anxiety with finances now, man. The money's looking funny. Jobs ain't what they used to be. My money's not stretching like it used to. Haven't got a raise in who knows how long. And if you do get a raise, it's some pennies on the dollar. But everything else is going up. Why it's causing mental health. This is why they're, constantly pushing these mental health drugs, opioid crises, fentanyl, drug dependencies. All this stuff is happening because of what? Stress, anxiety, the downfall of this place. 7 in 10 of Americans report all-time high financial anxiety, with 40% taking mental health days off work or school to cope. 40% of people saying, I can't deal with it. I need to take a day off. I'm stressed. Pressure bust pipes. Only 14% currently receive therapy, with cost being the biggest barrier to seeking professional mental health support. Americans are turning to self-care alternatives. I wonder what. 65% use music, 51% engage in hobbies, and 71% exercise weekly to manage stress. They didn't include the drug usage. There's articles, I've exposed articles 9 years ago, 9 years ago. 70% of America is on prescription drugs. 70%. They ain't even include. Hold on. Let me pull that real quick. 70% of Americans on prescription. Baby shit, let me get that real quick. Look at that. 7 in 10 Americans take prescription drugs. Growing number of Americans report taking prescription meds. It's up to 70%. Okay, your brother's not lying. So they ain't even, they ain't even include that. They talking about people using music. Bullish. They getting high as they listening to the music. 51 engaging in hobbies. Yeah, right. People's doping up, utilizing their prescriptions for anxiety, depression, stress management, or whatever else, ADHD. They're making every damn excuse. The doctors are medicating the kids in elementary school. That's why they have child psychologists on deck. This is why they are sitting back analyzing the kids, saying, "Oh, they got ADHD. Oh, they got hyperactivity. Oh, we got to settle them down. Let's throw them on these pills." And then they got the kids in the vegetative states. I know when I was a kid, I didn't like taking pills. Are you crazy? How many kids that if you was a kid, elementary school, and you got sick or something, you need to take antibiotic, that you was able to swallow a pill at 7, 8 years old. That ain't going down. Now these kids is popping pills like candy and Skittles. It's because it's how they was raised on drugs. They're doing it now. So as the stress levels increase, the big pharma companies keep getting paid because what they're doing, they're just prescribing away. If they can't get the prescription, they're buying it illegal. Oh, the fentanyl crisis, they're dying on the streets, zombie streets over there in Kensington, Philly, and everywhere else. This is an organized collapse. Oh, here we go. Trump proposes to cut the federal rental assistance. California will be hit hard. This will be the last one I'm going to cover. I got some more, but I'm going to stop here. Because this should be something to consider. Federal rental assistance, California going to get hit hard, right? We always been talking about what happens if he cuts EBT? What happens if he cuts Section 8? People going to be in trouble. Well, he's already putting it in motion. Friday, President Trump released a budget blueprint for the next fiscal year that would take a chainsaw to social, environmental, and education programs. Some of the sharpest cuts are directed at housing programs that are meant to serve the poor, housing insecure, and unhoused. So, who's that translate to? Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. We're the ones who are going to suffer the biggest You know, they may say it's more white people on welfare and all that per capita. Yeah, because if you're looking at population cities, they may represent a larger number, which means they may have statistically more. But when you're looking at it just in general senses of ratios, our population is more greatly affected by it because it's a smaller number of us that are more dependent. So cuts are coming to housing programs that's for the poor, housing insecure, and then quote unquote unhoused, meaning the homeless. So what's to say? In California, millions are served by these funds, and state and local governments depend on them to operate affordable housing, rental assistance, homeless service, planning, and legal programs. That includes $33.5 billion in proposed cuts to the Housing and Urban Development Department, a 44% reduction from current levels. You're talking about almost half of the monies that were that were sent out for HUD, for the Housing and Urban Development Departments, is getting cut, which means Tanya with the 3 kids is on Section 8. She's paying $500 rent for that, that 3-bedroom apartment. Oh, Tanya's might end up having to pay $1,500 now. But Tanya ain't been working. Tanya's been getting a check here, check there to pay for everything. That ain't gonna fly no more. People that have been sitting on that Section 8 waiting list, they about to cut that list off. And it's like, no, they ain't no affordable housing coming for you. Getting a whole complete voucher for you to go move into this nice little, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house out in, wherever Section 8 housing is accepted. That's going to get cut. So the legs are getting chopped off for dependency on America. And you know what he's doing. While he's rolling out the red carpet for white South Africans, Negroes and Hispanics is get kicked up out of their situation. Grandma that's been living in the projects for the last 30, 40 years with under affordable housing, when that gets cut and her Social Security is getting hampered, you understand what I'm saying? Like, who's going to face the worst of it? That's why we always acknowledge him. I mean, you can't depend on this man for nothing, especially now, because he's in the business of ruining and destroying the existence of the so-called Blacks and Hispanics. The pacifier, remember, getting back to Reagan, he was saying, "Oh, the welfare babies. We need to get rid of them." That's what he's looking at. That's what he's doing. And he's following after his predecessor, his white zaddy, Ronald Reagan, who didn't give a damn about blacks, didn't give a damn about Hispanics, the welfare queens. He's coming after you too. And that's just what it is, y'all. So we got to be vigilant. We got to be aware. We got to know what time it is, according to 1 Peter 5:8. Be vigilant. For your adversary, the devil, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. His mouth was wide open, y'all. You got the new Pope riding shotgun. Warfare deals is falling apart. The inner workings of the system and the cities is falling apart. Economically, we can see what's happening. Anxiety, stress, 70% of the people out here is living check to check and even worse. And we can see the elements of the collapse is here. Stay focused, y'all. I'm going to go and get up out of here, man. Remember, we got a closing Sabbath class in a few hours. Tune back in with us, man. All praise, honor, glory to the Most High. Want to always remind brothers and sisters to fear the Most High, keep the commandments. And lastly, you always know, do not shoot your messenger. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, check back in with us. 4:15 Pacific Standard Time. We got a closing Shabbat class. If the Spirit moves you, come join us. And we'll get back into some more stuff. All right, be well. Talk to y'all soon. Shalom.